What's going on, YouTube? That's Datakuma1921 here again with another deck profile coming at you with Metroplex by.
Well, I'm Vince. You may have heard my voice before. I'm the, I guess, lesser half of Tech Talk over on VectorSigma.info.
Okay, cool. And so we're here at our Harrisburg event over at the Adventurers Guild in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We had a 12-man event.
Yep.
And this Metroplex deck, you took first place?
Yes.
First place, nice.
Now, we did end up having 4 3-1s at the end of it.
Right, but you
I
started
had
3-0.
the breakers. Yeah,
right.
I started out 3-0.
So there's, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
So it ended up working out pretty well. I specifically played it because I was kind of half anticipating that, well, everybody's trying out the new cards, and there would be a lot of combiners.
Right, definitely.
And Metroplex, I think, lines up pretty well against it.
Yeah, definitely. Tapping them all and kind of turning off their line of play with their wheel turns and how
Exactly, yeah.
efficiency of attacking. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right, well, let's jump right into the deck profile then.
Sure. So if you weren't already aware, you got Metroplex. He's a 25-star character. So he's essentially a combiner that doesn't have to combine, if you want to look at it that way.
Right, yeah,
so
35 health, man.
When you flip back to alt mode, you can drop out one of his mini bots. These are all 4-star guys. They start the game under him.
Right.
The important part, though, is getting his trigger off, which is if you flip 2 whites, 2 oranges, and 2 blues, you tap down their side of the board and deal 1 to everybody, meaning everyone else can get in, it resets it, it protects Metroplex. Obviously, it's the whole point. The advantage here, and part of the reason why I wanted to play it, aside from the aforementioned combiner advantage, or what I feel is the combiner advantage, is that now, in addition to previously it was rollout, so you had 3 of those, you were running 3 rapid conversions, so that way you could transform and either get back into bot mode if you wanted to, or just get a guy immediately off of one of these.
Right.
Now you have an additional 3. We'll clear these out of here so everybody can see this a little bit easier. You get an additional 3 of essentially the same effect in escape route. It can only go from bot to alt mode, but you can just time it so that while I'm in bot mode, transform
Well, it's the
back.
same thing as a rollout, but it's just
Exactly.
it's singleton instead of all your bots. But yeah,
Plus it's green, which,
Yeah.
as we found,
the best part.
the green matters and is
Yes.
hugely significant. But it's also the quantity. So now it's 9 cards out of a 40-card deck. It's almost 1 in every 4 cards.
You're right.
So you're going to see a lot of those, and they're super important.
Definitely.
So my particular version, because of, well, as we said, the ability is so important, I'm running what you'd expect. It's going to be the full complement of each of the double pips. So you got your 3 handheld blasters and 3 security checkpoints on the blue side, obviously. You're running the same thing on the orange side. So if I can find them real quick for you, you got your 3 Peace Through Tyrannies, you got your 3 improvised shields. The one thing I want to point out for these is that some of them you will actually play. It's not just a matter of, okay, they're pips. Handheld Blaster, for example, gives you bold, which assists with your power.
Right.
Occasionally, every once in a blue moon, the top
That's so
will matter.
relevant. One of the few decks that you actually want
Exactly.
to equip.
Peace Through Tyranny, unfortunately not so much, because you probably don't want to piece Metroplex. It probably could happen, but you cannot use it because it has to require a 6-star or greater. So you can't actually do it on any of the mini bots.
Right.
I mean, you could do it, but it's not going to get you anything.
Yeah.
And Security Checkpoint is pretty important against a number of different decks. The other obvious one is, well, we already showed Rollout, but also Matrix of Leadership, just for the sake of the double pips. Unfortunately, Metroplex is not a leader, but he is an Autobot, so you could pump him up with that.
Right.
Now, the other new additions from here are these 4. Whoops. As I throw the cards on the table. The first one is Backup Beam. So it's essentially Flamethrower from Wave 1, but again, important green pip. It's a blue, which changes the composition of what your numbers are to ensure that you're statistically going to hit the flip at certain levels of bold.
Right.
Bold 2 is relevant, but the green pip brings it back so that way you can, air quotes, guarantee it as much as you humanly can. The other one...
Yeah, I'm loving this green icon mechanic.
Believe me, I mean, we saw it as much today, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of it in the future.
Definitely.
The other major one is Power Punch. So a lot of people may turn around and just say, oh, well, it's Supercharge. The difference here is that because it's an upgrade, you can play this as well as a flip effect. So, for example, if I am able to set up a rollout turn and drop out Slammer, then I play Power Punch. I've now built my own height advantage, which will be the next card that I drop out here. Height advantage is an important threshold point for this deck, specifically Bold 4. So Bold 4 matters, and there was a post on the Facebook groups by someone whose name escapes me right now, so I apologize to the gentleman who put that together and ran the numbers. If you're running the full complement of all the double pips and the alternate pips, rollout matrix, and you're running enough white pips, so in the 15, 17 range, then you're able to hit, with Bolt 4, I believe it was 75% chance of hitting the trigger.
Oh, wow.
If you have Bolt 2, it's 50%.
Okay.
So it's just coin flips, and then obviously varying levels of bold. If you have this guy and some other bold effect,
right,
and you hit 3, it's in there. But
right,
that way you can, based on what you have in your hand, what you have in your scrap pile, what you've played, you can figure out, okay, well, I have X number of white pips left, I have X number of double pips left. What are my odds? And at least ballpark it so that you can say, okay, yes, this is a good height advantage turn. No, I need to drop out a guy, buy another turn, and then height advantage, or
right,
whatever the scenario happens to be.
Okay.
So obviously height advantage is your favorite target, but
Have you ever height advantage power punch in the same turn?
I did that earlier and almost whiffed anyway.
Wow.
So believe it or not,
7?
yeah. So I flipped a whole bunch of white pips. I flipped a whole bunch of blue pips, and then I think I hit a piece through tyranny on like the last or next to last card, and it was just. Sometimes it happens. So yes, you're increasing your percentages. Whoop, I'm moving and making glare.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
cool,
everybody.
yes.
So you can increase your percentages as much as you want, but unless it's 100, there's a chance you're going to whiff, and that's something you have to accept with this deck, unfortunately. The remainder of it is kind of filled out with utility white pips, not literally utilities, although 2 of them are. One's Debilitating Crystal. Like I was just saying, you're filling up most of your deck with those double pips. You have to make use of the white pips as actual playable cards. So since you're not going to be running ramming speed, you're not going to be running vaporize, you're not going to be running, any of the, I guess, normal upgrade, destruction, or removal,
right,
this pops opposing, well, not pops, but gets opposing, say, reinforced plating, body armors, force fields out of the way,
right,
and then you just get in there.
Right, right.
Otherwise, when you height advantage, flip a whole bunch of double oranges, instead of doing like 17, you're doing 4.
Right, yeah.
Following that up with the other utility, Datapad is something that I'm not always excited to play, but it's a white pip that does a relevant thing. You can try and set up for actual Metroplex trigger turns. I'm looking into Secret Dealings from Wave 2. It's an ability, so I have to play around with, or an action, excuse me, not an ability. You have to play around with the action versus upgrade numbers,
right,
but there's something potentially there.
Okay.
And then the last one is Force Field, which, while I feel like it's losing value over time because of either Bashing Shield showing up or just aggressive decks will just break it and not care, it's still a good white pip, and there are limitations on how many playable white pips that you don't feel awful playing
Right.
at this stage.
Understood.
So that's basically the whole deck. Set up as many Metroplex turns. You do have to be careful with your flips to make sure that you have Metroplex in the appropriate modes, so you don't just open them up and then say 3 opposing Insecticons just tee off on them.
Right. Yeah, like how I guess it's super relevant if you go first, which you don't want.
Exactly.
You leave him in his alt mode and attack with him because he has an extra defense.
I have done that before. I'm still to this day not sure if it's right because
It depends on your hand, I guess. Like if you
have a transform effect, for example. So say I have
one of your 9.
Escape route. If I don't set it up, so I'm going first. If I don't transform, then when I transform an escape route, I'll end up back in alt mode, and I may not want that.
Right.
Additionally, because a lot of the deck is flip tracking, both yours and your opponent's, so the bug deck will only get 1 flip on their opening turn. So they're getting in with, say, Scrapnel in alt mode. He has, 4 attack. Barrage in alt mode. He has 3 attack. You don't care about those. You could actually soak all of it if you happen to be lucky with flips.
Yeah, that's true.
So presumably they flip kickback, or if they have a direct damage, they might flip barrage, get in for maximum amount.
Right.
You may ultimately only be saving 3 damage kind of thing. Sometimes, depending on your hand, it's worth flip, get in, just so you can set up that transform effect.
Right, because all matters. Okay, understood.
Yeah.
But your opening hand and
Right. Plus, since you have that increased quantity of them, plus the idea that, oh, well, I might flip escape route, I could green it back on defense, especially because they're attacking my attack plus their 4 attacks. That's 10 extra cards. I'm probably going to see one.
Yeah, right.
So it may be worth doing.
Fourth of your deck for sure, right? Definitely.
It's still something I'm working through as to okay, does this really make sense? I think it does. And today when I played against Bugs, I did not transform. But I'm not sure if that's correct.
Okay, cool.
So.
Well, either way, hey, had a great showing with
Yes.
it, and congratulations on your
Thank
win. What'd you win for having getting first place?
Well, so it was 2 boxes or a bunch of store credits, so I split it with a box, and then I picked up some other supplies that I need, because all card game players know you're always perpetually out of sleeves or deck boxes or binders or something. Plus, it's also, I wanted to pick up a couple other things and support the store. It's important to help out your local store. This was at the Adventurers Guild. If you get the chance, talk to your local store and play.
Good man, good man.
So.
Well, Vince, thank you for having. Appreciate you for being on the channel and with
thank
the
you
deck
for having
profile.
me.
Great deck, and hope to see you soon.
Yep.
Future events.
Thanks, Stefan. Appreciate it.
No problem.